face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello and welcome. I'm Edo Masai and this is Pulse of Africa News, coming to you live from Addis Ababa, the political heart of Africa. Let's start with Dangote's refinery. Africa's richest industrialist, Aliko Dangote, has announced that Nigerians could soon have the opportunity to invest directly in the Dangote refinery, with share purchases expected to open within the next 5 months. Dangote made the disclosure amid growing interest in broadening local participation in one of Africa's largest industrial projects. The move is seen as a significant step toward deepening domestic ownership and capital market participation in Nigeria's energy sector.
Today is really our best day ever. At least, he's not just a guest, he's a shareholder. I know NNPC invested in us when we ourselves were not really sure whether the refinery will be successful. So that's the kind of level of confidence. But right now, the relationship with the new set of people that we have at NNPC, I think the sky is the limit, and we will cooperate and also make sure that we work together to make sure that we make Nigerians proud.
The refinery, located in Lagos, is a multi-billion-dollar facility expected to transform Nigeria's fuel supply dynamics and reduce dependence on imports. Opening up shares to the new public could allow ordinary Nigerians to benefit from the project's long-term profitability. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, currently holds about 7.25% equity in the refinery, underscoring the government's strategic stake in the venture.
They are holding 7.25% of the shares that we have here, which is more than the shares Elon Musk has in Tesla. So, and they are holding that on behalf of Nigerians. So, but individually, Nigerians too will have an opportunity in the next, I don't know, but I think in the next maybe maximum 4 or 5 months, they will actually be option to buy their shares. And like what I promised before, people will have a choice either to get their dividend in Naira or to get their dividends in dollars. We have a block 71, 72 are doing, but we're going to look much, deeper. Most likely, depending on our own discussions with them, we will partner with them maybe in some of the upstream. They too, they will partner with us here, because here is not a refinery, it's an industrial hub. And that's why we're doing, linear alkaline benzene, which is raw material for detergent. And that raw material for detergent will be sufficient for the entire African continent. It's 400,000 tons, which we don't have. The only two is one in Algeria, 100,000 tons, and Egypt, 50,000. But we are going 400,000. And we'll deliver all this in the next 30 months.
A public offering would not only enhance transparency, but also strengthen investor confidence while positioning the refinery as a national asset with wider citizen participation. The Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, has confirmed the successful conclusion of negotiations with Kenya regarding its participation in the Kenya Pipeline Company, KPC. Initial public offering, IPO, marking a significant step in regional energy cooperation. Through the investment, UNOC has acquired a strategic stake in Kenya Pipeline Company, positioning Uganda to strengthen its access to critical petroleum transports. The move is expected to improve efficiency across the regional energy supply chain, particularly for landlocked Uganda, which relies heavily on Kenyan infrastructure for fuel imports. As a shareholder, UNOC indicated it will collaborate closely with KPC and other partners to upgrade operations, expand pipeline capacity, and support broader regional energy integration efforts. Energy analysts note that the development reflects a growing trend of cross-border investments in strategic infrastructure aimed at reducing logical bottlenecks and lowering energy costs across East Africa.
If you don't tell your story, it will be told by others. They'll talk of hunger, they'll talk of war, they'll talk of conflict, but they'll not say the things that are happening in Africa that are positive.
This is POA, a very new media organization in Ethiopia.
We have to be voice for ourselves. There is no one else that can tell our story better than us.
If it's defending African matters, then go for it. Go for Pulse Media.
This is the Pulse of Africa. Tune in, follow the journey, and learn about the news and what's shaping our African continent.
I am really impressed by the work that they are doing by telling the African story from Africa for Africans. I think it's definitely needed.
Please subscribe to the Pulse of Africa on all platforms.
The chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, held high-level talks with Walid Al-Haraji, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Saudi Arabia, today at the headquarters of the African Union in Addis Ababa. During the meeting, Chairperson Ali Yusuf highlighted the long-standing historical ties between Africa and Saudi Arabia, describing them as deeply rooted in cultural, economic, and people-to-people connections. He commended the kingdom's growing investments across Africa and its constructive role in both regional and global diplomacy. Particular emphasis was placed on Saudi Arabia's complementary diplomatic efforts in conflict-affected regions, including Libya, Sudan, and Somalia, carried out in coordination with the African Union to promote peace and stability. For his part, Al-Haraji expressed appreciation for the warm reception and acknowledged the African Union's leadership in advancing development, peace, and multilateral cooperation across the continent. He reaffirmed Saudi Arabia's commitment to strengthening collaboration with the AU, especially in areas such as development partnerships, peace and security, and diplomatic engagement. Both sides reiterated their shared interest in deepening AU-Saudi Arabia relations, underscoring a mutual vision anchored in strategic partnership, solidarity, and respect, as cooperation between Africa and Gulf nations continues to expand. Ghana and Burkina Faso have signed 7 bilateral agreements aimed at restoring cooperation after a 6-year hiatus, marking a significant step towards strengthening regional stability and economic ties. The agreements focus on counterterrorism efforts, trade facilitation, and coordinated border governance, reflecting growing concerns over insecurity and humanitarian risks in the Sahel region. Officials from both countries say the renewed partnership is designed to enhance joint responses to cross-border threats while improving the flow of goods and services. The move comes amid escalating security challenges across the Sahel, where armed groups and instability have disrupted livelihoods and trade corridors. By aligning policies and deepening cooperation, Ghana and Burkina Faso aim to reinforce border security and economic resilience. The agreements are a strategic breakthrough, particularly for the revival of a key West African trade route that links coastal economies with landlocked Sahelian states. The renewed engagement is also expected to boost confidence among investors and regional stakeholders seeking stability in the corridor. The deal signals a broader effort by both nations to rebuild trust, enhance regional integration, and respond collectively to shared security and development challenges. Shifting to business news, Uganda is planning to connect its new railway line to Tanzania's network, a move that could open a major new export routes for minerals such as gold, copper, and iron ore. According to a government document, the proposed link would provide direct access to the port of Dar es Salaam port, reducing transport costs and transit times. The initiative marks an expansion of Uganda's rail ambitions, which have largely focused on linking to Kenya's Standard Gauge Railway and the Port of Mombasa. By adding a southern corridor through Tanzania, Uganda aims to diversify its export routes and reduce reliance on a single trade pathway. The planned railway would run from the Tanzania border through southern and southwestern Uganda, terminating at Mpondwe near the Democratic Republic of the Congo border. This route is expected to unlock access to mineral regions and potentially integrate with regional trade networks. African Development Bank is considering funding early-stage preparation activities for the project. Officials say financing will depend on the outcomes of feasibility studies to determine whether the railway is commercially viable. The corridor could strengthen regional integration and position Uganda as a key transit hub for Central and East Africa, while creating new opportunities for trade and infrastructure development. Africa's plant generic resources are under renewed scrutiny with the launch of the third regional report on the state of crop diversity, jointly produced by CIFOR, ICRAF, and the Food and Agriculture Organization. The report highlights progress in conserving crop diversity, including strengthened seed banks and enhanced national policies, while noting ongoing challenges such as climate change, land degradation, and limited funding for preservation.
Some of the findings were very positive overall in that genetic resources conservation and ex situ collections have increased over the last reporting period, which is about 12 to 15 years. However, there are some things to highlight that are of concern, such as the loss of genetic diversity that's happening in the wild, as well as many of the collections here in Africa are not backed up. They do not have a safety duplication site, which means if something were to happen to the site preserving these materials, they would be lost and it would be very hard to recuperate them.
Many local crop varieties remain at risk, underscoring the vulnerability of Africa's agricultural biodiversity. Experts emphasize the importance of investing in gene banks, supporting farmers who conserve traditional varieties, and fostering stronger collaboration among governments, researchers, and local communities.
And when we looked at some of the key messages that we have for the Africa region, there are issues with regard to in situ conservation of especially wild food plants and crop wild relatives. So these are species that are very important for food security and nutrition, and we know that over 70% of these are threatened in the wild. There's also a big issue with not being able to survey many of these species because they may be being conserved, but they're not being actually recorded. So this is an area which we need to really focus on.
Protecting plant genetic resources is not just about preserving heritage. It is about ensuring resilient food systems for future generations, the report stated. The launch reinforces calls for African nations to scale up conservation efforts, recognizing crop diversity as a foundation for sustainable agriculture, climate resilience, and long-term food security. Finally, sport news. Tanzania delivered standout performances at the 2026 Daegu Marathon in South Korea, highlighting the dominance of East African long-distance runners. Tanzania's Gabriel Ye powered to victory in the men's race with a time of 2 hours, 8 minutes and 9 seconds, narrowly edging Ethiopia's Chimdesa Debele Gudeta in a photo finish, while fellow Tanzanian Josephat Gisemo claimed third in 2 hours, 8 minutes and 17 seconds. The men's competition showcased tight pacing and fierce tactical battles among a deep international field. In the women's race, Kenya's Lilian Rengeruk made a sensational marathon debut, finishing in 2 hours, 19 minutes and 33 seconds. Despite a dramatic fall in the final meters inside the stadium, she recovered to secure the win and break the 2 hours and 20 minutes barrier. Ethiopia's Mesaret Belete finished second in 2 hours, 19 minutes and 52 seconds, while Kenya's Evaline Chirchir round out the podium in 2 hours, 20 minutes and 49 seconds, giving Kenya top 2 finishes. The race underscored the resilience and rising talent of East African female marathoners. President Samia Suluhu Hassan congratulated Tanzanian athletes for their exceptional performances, praising Gay for his second consecutive Daegu victory and Emmanuel Dinde for finishing third. She highlighted that their discipline and commitment not only elevate their personal profiles, but also enhance Tanzania's international reputation in athletics. The president emphasized that these achievements serve as inspiration for other national athletes and reaffirmed the government's commitment to improving training facilities and support systems to maintain Tanzania's competitiveness on the world stage. Now, let's take a look at the weather forecast across Africa. That's all for today. Before I conclude, I would like to invite you to watch our weekly program POA in Depth, which is coming up next. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.